Okay. Okay, so yesterday we talked about cause and effect, how the more information you understand and you know, the more simple it becomes, as well as the less stressed you get, right? And the more you realize why things are happening. Now, here's my thing. How do you know if you actually know what's going on? How do you know your perception's just not off? Does anybody know? Yeah, Cole.
If you don't have to think about it?
If you don't have to think about it. You're exactly right. In fact, if you look down the board, I put it down. But if you know, you think less, right? If you don't know, you think more. And you can see the characteristics of each. The thing I like to point out is, if ever you're stressed, it means you don't know. Which means whatever you're thinking, is it accurate or inaccurate? It's inaccurate. All of our fears come not because of what's going on, but because of an inaccurate idea in our mind. Isn't that crazy? Because if it was accurate and we actually understood what was going on, it would be simple to us, we wouldn't be thinking, and we wouldn't be stressed about it. Isn't that crazy? So as soon as you get stressed, what does that immediately tell you? What does that tell you? It's inaccurate, and you got to get more information. There's something that you're not seeing about it, right? Now, the reason I bring this up is because it's easy to realize you shouldn't be stressed, but it's really tough to get your body and your mind to be able to calm down and to not worry about things. One of the things that helps you to be able to calm down is realizing it's going to be okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another Disney clip, because we always have to see a Disney clip. And this one is going to show you a Disney clip of someone who's really, really stressed out. And you can kind of tell this person's stressed out. And then there's going to be a song. And the song is actually going to help to kind of identify what allows us to be able to get unstressed or de-stressed and helps us to move along, okay? How's that one? Is that a good clip? Okay, good. What was the message of the clip? The message was what? Don't worry about it, because in time, everything you need, you're going to figure it out, right? And it is really true. Now, yeah, that's pretty much the message. A lot of times we don't realize that, all of our worries and whatnot, we're fearing that we're inadequate. Like Tarzan, feeling he's inadequate. And what the mom was trying to do, right, wasn't saying that you're just like me in terms of you're an ape, but she's trying to help Tarzan realize what? You're okay. There's no issue. And I started to realize when I was younger in life, I didn't realize how okay I was. Because little things would get me thrown off. Like, I remember one time it was for this huge meeting, like 400, 500 people there. And I was doing something as like, one of the ushers or something. And a lady's like, hey, your zipper is like not zipped up. And so I was looking down, I was like, oh my goodness, my zipper's not zipped up. I was like 12 years old. I was like so embarrassed, I remember. Like looking around, trying to get my zipper zipped up without anyone seeing me. And it was like the whole day I was like so embarrassed because of it. But I didn't realize that as I got older, I started listening to people around me. And like I started hearing these stories about these grown men, right, in professions that like one guy was this like developer of malls. So he's like a millionaire. And he's like talking to me about one time he went to the bathroom and his white shirt got stuck like in between it, and how embarrassed he was because he came out, right? And people are looking at him, he's like, what's going on? And then he looks down and he sees the guy's white shirt stuck in his zipper, right? And he's going to a business meeting. And then I started to realize, man, like everybody does this stuff. And when you're younger, you might not realize that, right? It's because in our minds we're thinking like what's normal and everything, but we never know. And this is a thing about the learning process. The quicker we can observe what's going on, the less stressed we'll be, right? And so how can we observe quicker? How can we learn quicker? And what we're realizing is that this thinking idea, it's not really that good. It's very inefficient in terms of learning. So let's talk about this a little bit more today. This is what we're doing when we're thinking. When you're thinking, it means you know what's going on or you don't know what's going on. If you have to think, it means you don't know what's going on. If you don't know what's going on, do you have the correct information in your mind? No. Which means, where do you need to go to get the information? Outside, right? You have to figure out what's outside of you, not what's inside of your mind. But what do you do when you think? Are you using the information outside or inside? You're only using the information inside, right? So when you're thinking, what are you doing if the information is not there? What are you doing? You're making stuff up. That's what you're doing, right? When you're thinking, really what you're doing is you're just making it up. And you don't even know it. So what we're finding is that more intelligent people realize what's more important, what's in your mind or what reality is? Always what reality is, right? So more intelligent people, they cut out the thinking and they go straight to the application. So what does this kind of look like here? Here are some ideas that go along with no thinking. When they do something, they make sure it's simple. Realizing that if they're going to do something, they want to know exactly what to do. And they want it to be like this. If they don't see something like this, what does a no-thinking person do? What do they do? If they don't see it like this, right? If they got to think, what do they do instead of thinking? They ask for help. They go find someone who knows, right? They don't think, they shut their mind down, they go find someone who knows. Very simple, right? They figure out instead of question why. This is a big one at your age. You're going to have a lot of adults telling you to do stuff, right? When your parents tell you to do things, whatnot. Oftentimes we question why. You say, why do we have to do that? Or why are you getting us for this? Da-da-da-da-da. The no-thinking person does what? Instead of questioning why, they try to figure out, why is this person trying to tell me to do this? They'd get more information. If someone tells them, go sleep earlier, why are they trying to get me to go sleep earlier? Why are they trying to get me to do this, right? So they try to figure it out. They think less and act more. They don't judge, they accept reality. This is a big one. A no-thinking person, when something happens, they don't try to judge why people are doing what they're doing. They just take it at face value. So for example, you go to a party and you're like, hey, Tim, how are you doing? And what does Tim do? He just walks away from you. So if you're thinking about it, you're like, man, Tim's kind of a jerk, right? That's the first thing. And then you're like, but dang, what am I wearing? Tim's probably embarrassed because of me of what I'm wearing. It's not the latest fashions, whatever it might be. And then as you're going home, you're starting to think, wait a minute, but yesterday, Tim and me, we got in this discussion about animals, and I liked an animal that he didn't like, and he must not like me anymore. And then you start thinking all these things, right? And by the time you get home, it's like the whole world is ending because you did all these things that causes Tim to hate you. When in reality, what happened? Yeah, Tim just didn't see you, right? You just said hi to Tim, he just didn't even hear you or see you, and so he left because he just didn't know, right? But because we're thinking, it causes us all the stress in trying to figure things out in terms of judging why people are doing things. So a no-thinking person, instead of trying to judge why people are doing things, they just find out. They just go to school the next day and say, hey, Tim, I saw you at the party. Why don't you say hi? Right? And Tim's like, oh, I didn't even see you there. So many things in our life can get resolved if we don't try to judge why people are doing things, and we just look at the information and we ask, right? Well, this actually has been studied by a lot of people. This is Scott Flansburg. He is a human calculator. Has anybody heard of him here? Oh, only a couple, huh? He does complex mathematical calculations in his head quicker than a calculator does. And so they measured his brain when he's doing complex math. And what did they find out when they measured his brain? That his mind actually shuts down compared to a normal person. His mind actually processes less when he does math. And actually, when you ask Scott how he does these complex mathematical equations, he explains it as he doesn't think about it. He just sees the answer. See, when you actually know or understand something, you don't have to think. You just see it. You just know what it is, right? And this is what they find with everyone who's really good at what they do. Even like with sports, right? The whole idea is they practice off the field, so by the time they get into action, they no longer have to think, because the thinking delays their reaction time. So because they practice and practice so much on the things that they need to do, when they get on the field, they no longer have to think about it, right? You'll find this out with most successful people. They do things so that they can minimize their thinking. They can maximize what they're doing, right? Now, in this program, what we want to do is we're trying to actually teach you a new way to learn. And the way to learn that we want you to operate by is you do what you can, you do what you know, and then what should you do? What should you do? Ask for help. That's it. That's the way we want to operate. And we don't necessarily want to tell you specific things you need to do. How you ask for help, the way you go about doing things, we don't necessarily want to give you the details of that because everyone is different. Everybody does things differently. Everybody has unique personalities. So we just want to teach you the idea behind what successful people do and then allow you to apply it and develop the ability to see life in whichever way that you want. Does this make sense? Any questions? Okay. Now today, if we're going to tell you to ask for help, we also need to explain to you how you know if somebody actually knows what they're doing. Okay? So on the screen you have non-observant and you have observant people. So when you look for someone who actually understands what they're doing, they usually will have the characteristics of the left-hand side. They'll be able to tell you what's going to happen in your future. They're going to be able to explain to you the different things you'll have to go through. They can make it more simple, right? They don't make decisions because they actually see what's going to happen. And so today we're going to try and help you to realize the difference between the more observant versus non-observant. Now it's important to realize which side is better. Neither side is better. It just depends on what you want. Which side will have more surprises in their life? The right side. So if you like surprises, then that's the side for you to be on, right? Which side will go through more pain? Right side. You like surprises, usually it comes with pain because when you get surprised, sometimes it's not the best surprise, right? But it comes along with it. And some people actually enjoy that type of life. So we're not actually telling you either one's bad. We just want to make it obvious on which side has what characteristics so you can determine what you want to do. Some people want to go all the way to the left-hand side and some people like to be in the middle somewhere, right? They don't want to know everything because it would make life a little dull for them. And so this is what you're going to kind of go over today. And that's it.